Hello, and welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows and we talk about them with our friends in the fandom. That's you. Hello. I'm Carmen and I'm joined as always by the amazing Kimberly Woods. Hello.
Hi, hot potatoes.
This season, we're watching Fallout.
And today, we're on episode 7 of 8. It's called The Radio. The description. Every generation has their own dumbass idea. This is your warning. If you have not watched up to episode 7, pause, go watch, come back and join us, because ahead, there do be spoilers. So let's get into it.
Spoils. Yes. Spoilers.
Yes, spoilers. In this episode, Carmen, we find out that indeed Maldiver is the head of that organization in the past who is opposing the Vaults.
You called it.
She puts the seed of doubt into the ghoul's mind, or what is his name? Cooper? Wait, what is his actual name? Cooper?
Cooper, yeah.
Yeah, Cooper's
Howard,
mind. Yeah. To spy on his wife because she says that she's done some research or something, some cold fusion research, and was contracted with the wife's division, and she knows what's going on, and he doesn't really know his wife. So, yeah, I'm excited for that.
I feel like she's lying.
We'll see. His wife does know some things, but is sacrificing for the family, so she's justifying it. So I do think she's ignoring some dirt in order to protect her fam bam.
You gotta protect the fam bam.
Yeah, I gotta. You can't fault her for
gotta
that.
Do it. I do love that, like, we have that moment where Coop considers spying on his wife and then he throws it away, but he has the thoughts creep in the night. Because you know what? He stayed up past 2 a.m. Nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. And he should have went to bed, but he got the earpiece out.
Yep. I was worried when he just put it in the trash. I was like, oh my gosh, is she going to find it in the trash before he even gets to spy? And then it's already going to be found out. But now he gets it out of the trash.
He does. The ghoul does call the dog meat this episode.
Yes, he does. I was like, there it is. Dog meat. Yes.
He
said the name of the dog in the games. I was like, he said it. It's dog meat. It's official. I love that. I love that they've already set up, his dog in the past, that he's a dog guy, and he keeps running into dog meat, and in this episode he finds himself with dog meat again. Poor dog meat got locked in the little Nuka-Cola fridge by Thaddeus.
Yeah, he went to jail. He was in jail for a while.
Yeah, but he got rescued. That shot, some of these shots are so gnarly. I couldn't watch the shot of Thaddeus and his foot and that whole, disgusting thing.
So, this is a show based on a video game. And when the snake oil salesman guy was like, oh yeah, I got this elixir that can fix everything. At first I was like, oh, of course he's lying.
Yeah.
But apparently it turns you to a ghoul.
Apparently. Because it's auto healing powers. What's happening? I guess it turns you into a ghoul. I was wondering what he meant when he was like, but there's radiation over in Shady. Also, is that guy the same guy who was fucking the ghost?
Oh, yeah. That's the same guy.
I was like, uh-oh, here he is. This can be no good. Sure enough. Let me ask you,
he doesn't seem trustworthy.
Is the ship still alive in your heart, Carmen? Lucimus. Is the Lucimus ships? Has it set sail again? Is it tooting along, or are you not aboard?
Every ship needs to toot along. But here's the thing. Like I said before, I love me a chocolate vanilla swirl. Gots to have it. Good stuff. But I feel like Lucy is ignoring some red flags. because Maximus does come clean in this episode, which I love that in that scene. In my head, I was like, tell her the truth, tell her the truth.
Me
And he
too.
finally did. But there was a part of it, but she was just like, oh, it doesn't matter because the surface world is crazy. Will you move in with me? And I was like, Lucy, I know you've only been able to mess around with your cousins, but there's some red flags here, my guy. But I
love
mean,
that moment.
to answer your question, I am like, yeah, I'm cautiously on the ship. I'm like on the ship by the lifeboat, ready to jump off.
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be back on the ship. I was like, oh, he screwed it up. But they got me. They got me. He waited till the last minute to like admit his true name, but he did it. I was also during that scene like screaming at the screen, like, you better tell her now. Tell her now.
Yes.
And then he did, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. But I actually do love how forgiving Lucy is. But also she blames it on the wasteland. She's like, hey, look, it's the wasteland. I've been up here for 2 weeks and I threw acid in somebody's face. Like, you grew up here. So, I like that she can kind of see people's like core. Like, she's like, you're a good person at heart. And I love that about her and how it affects the world around her and the people around her. And I think she's a good influence on Maximus and even maybe on the ghoul, reminding him of his old self. So I love the influence her character is having.
That's a good point because like we did see sort of the ghoul kind of soften up a little bit when he was with her. Well, kind of, but more so with
And
Maximus,
for him, that's a lot. Yeah.
because yeah, that is a lot for him. It's going to take a lot. It's been 200 years, but for Maximus, he chooses to leave his armor behind, which ever since we first met him is all he's ever wanted. And so it's like, I mean, there's a part of me that's like, okay, he's going from being obsessed about being a knight to being obsessed over Lucy, which is maybe also problematic, but it's like he chose to give up the armor and do the right thing because Lucy has influenced him so much. And I think that's great.
Yeah. That was a huge character moment. Because, yeah, he's like, without the fusion core, I'm not a knight. His facial expressions are hilarious, by the way. His little, like, pouty face. I love the actress behind stuff. It's so perfect for that part. But, yeah, I was impressed. I was like, okay, oh, wow. This is a big character moment. Like, he is choosing right here and now that he's gonna, like, follow her. And he's, like, given up what he's known for all of his life. Like, this is huge. And I think that's what helped me get aboard the ship again, was like that huge pivot that he made. So
Yeah. I did love that moment. I will say, before we started recording, I was telling Kimberly, I was like, I do love this show, but of all the episodes, this one is my least favorite.
Why? And I made him stop and not tell me because I wanted to hear it live so I could react in real time. So now please tell me, why is this your least favorite episode, Carmen?
Yes, we wanted to share it with all of you. I feel like there's too many things that resolve too quickly in this episode and nothing really has a moment to breathe. So like we have Thaddeus figuring out that he's a ghoul. We have the Brotherhood of Steel showing up. We have them getting the head back. We have Lucy and Maximus getting together. We have all the stuff in the past with the ghoul or Cooper Howard when he's still a Cooper, like trying to figure out what's happening with his wife. We have the ghoul killing the son and like getting dog meat back. Like, I think it's okay to like have all this stuff happening at once, but it makes me feel like I think you know what it is. I think the moment that did it for me was when we found out that Vault 4 was not like an evil scientist vault and they were all just kind of like weirdo people who are like survivors and it's like a refuge. And then because like they made it a
they're
joke,
descended from that
which I
weirdness,
think is
though.
fine. Yeah, that's true. They're like the descendants and the survivors of the mad scientists of Vault 4, and they're like cryogenically freezing people to help them and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I feel like, why didn't they say that? And I mean, I know why they didn't say it for the comedy of it all, but it just I think it's because we spent a whole episode, a whole hour with that mystery, and then to be like, oh, haha, it's nothing. It feels like if it was just like one contained adventure of like, oh, they go to this place and it's mysterious, but oh, JK, and now we're on our way. Like, I'd be like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that was fun and that was funny. But it's like we
Yeah.
spent so much time building it up and we only have 8 episodes. And that because of that, we have to like rush through some other stuff that we care about more. Cause like when Lucy and Maximus finally kiss, like they even kind of play it for laughs with the guy watching, like, hey, and then it cuts to the head and the heads are kissing. And I'm like, man, don't mix the salt and the sugar. Like, let me have this moment. So
That's funny.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a
Yeah.
matter of taste. I'm sure it's fine. I just don't like that stuff.
It's interesting. I mean, I enjoyed it, and then I think, like, to me, I'm like, okay, why spend so much time on that if it's not really about the vault? And I think it allowed them, to have the characters kind of shift their perspectives, because for the first time, we got to have a taste of Maximus relaxing and realizing, like, how hard he's had it up in the wasteland, and, like, this is his first taste of, like, having what Lucy thinks she, grew up with, and then Lucy kinda coming around to his side of things. So I feel like more so than the actual experiment that was happening, it was more about changing those characters' perspective and giving them the time to shift. And also, I think it's
Yeah.
setting up, like, I agree, it's like, "Oh, that's it?" Like, it was just bad experiment of, like, scientists gone mad, and they were trying. I was surprised that they were, like, trying to help the people by, like, hybridizing them with, people who were like, not people, creatures who are immune to radiation. Like, that was the goal, was to, like, if we hybridize, we can all be immune, like, these hybrid creatures. So they had this, like, good goal in mind. But the fact that it's like, oh, it's actually not that bad, and in the same scene, the overseer, not the overseer, co-overseer? I don't, the lady that's under the main guy, and she's like, "Well, what
Yeah, I
experiment
don't know
did
who
you—"
she is.
I don't know what she's called. Um, she asked Lucy about the experiment in Vault 33, and so I feel like it's also setting up, like, "Oh, actually, that wasn't so bad. Ooh, but what is happening in 31, 32, and 33?" And I know we've touched on those experiments and said things, but it's like, if this is okay, it it seems like it needs to juxtapose against something being really bad in Lucy's vault or around, like, the Lucy's world that she doesn't know. So I wonder if, like, that's the purpose. Like,
Yeah.
we found out the secret, "Oh, it's actually not that bad," and then they're like, "But what about your vault?" And so I think maybe that reveal will be
I
even larger now.
Oh man, I love that theory. I hope that that's true. I hope it's like something just like super McNasty gnarly, like
Me
something
too,
really
me
bad.
too.
Like they're like eating people or something. Yeah, like
Yeah.
slow
Speaking
and
of
greedy.
which,
But yeah, no, I mean,
what did you think about investigator hacker Norm?
I love Norm. Yeah, he's definitely probably my favorite character. I when he goes to Chet and he's like, "You're a coward, Chet," and Chet's like, "We all are. We live in a vault." I was like, dang, Chet's spin bars.
Yeah. Like, well, can't argue
But
with
I mean,
that.
like, he's not wrong. There was a part of me that, like, when the ceremony is happening and Norm kind of slips away to get on the overseer's computer, I was like, oh, Norm's been pushing his luck, and this might be the last straw. But thankfully, he was able to get away before anybody could catch him. But it's like there's no way to cover up your tracks at this point. So Norm's all in, and then he goes into Vault 31. And I thought that like when the vault closed, that was going to be the end of the episode, and it kept going. And I was like, oh, he's about to die. Like something gnarly is about to happen, but we don't get to see what he saw. Um, so yeah,
No,
I'm
we
really
just hear,
curious. I
like,
feel like that's the
robot
storyline. That
sounds,
storyline, and like, yeah, what does it
right?
mean?
I don't know, we don't see anything, and I, like, went up to the TV and was, like, trying to see if I could spot anything near the screen, and all I saw was the mop moved once, and I still heard, like, you know,
Mm.
the robot sounds, but I was like, "I can't see anything. What is he seeing?"
Oh man, what does he see?
But you're
So
right,
the
he, like,
robot
goes
that
all
like
in. It's
is it the
like,
robot that was like in the Super Duper Mart? Is that like
the
could it be
butler?
one of those?
It kinda
Yeah.
sounds like it, right? The same sort of robotic sounds. So that's what I thought, but
Yeah.
and maybe, like you're saying, because we were talking
I
about,
don't
like,
know.
cryo tubes before, maybe there's, like maybe they bring people out of their cryo tubes at certain times, the robot, but
My my original theory was like while I was watching it and the door was opening and it's like all slow and dramatic, I was like, "Oh, his dad's gonna be there." And and his dad's gonna be in 31. He's gonna be like, "What, dad?" But I'm glad that that wasn't it because that would have been super cheesy. So I'm curious to see what it is.
I mean, I thought it was funny because he's pretending to be Betty, and then when he goes up there, I'm like, "Are they gonna open it? Are they gonna look who's coming in? Because clearly that's not Betty." Just you know?
Oh yeah, because he
But then
calls out. He's like,
yeah.
"Hello."
"Hello?" Like, it's a male voice. But anyway, I'm glad they
Right? I'm
opened
like,
it
sound
anyway.
like Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess they don't have the facial scan here.
Or do you
But
think that they're like going to try to indoctrinate him into Vault 31?
I don't know. But I really was like, this is an all-in maneuver because it's like, "Okay, Norm, you're going in, you could get killed, so any information you learn, like, how are you gonna get it back to everybody else? Like, even though you're, like, betting it all to learn this, like, don't you wanna make sure you can, like, give everybody else a heads up?"
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. Also, before Norm goes into there, into the other vault, all of the raiders are killed because their food was poisoned. And it seemed like out of all the people who were suspects, to me, it seems like Betty was behind it. What did you think?
Either that she was behind it or Stephanie, because Stephanie gets reassigned to Vault
Oh,
32 with Chet, and I think Stephanie was, like, putting it in somebody's mind earlier about the Raiders being bad or like, "Oh, your father would have done something," or and then
to
she ends
Norm.
up being the
Yeah.
overseer of because she originally was from Vault 31 herself, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's like, I feel like she's behind it in some
Ooh,
I don't know.
I love
And
that
she seems
moment
pretty
when
impatient.
Betty is like, "Oh
Go ahead.
yeah," well, and murderous. Oh, I was just gonna say that moment when Betty names Steph the temporary overseer, interim overseer, and then Chet and Norm kind of have this look of like, "Oh, she's from 31, not suspicious."
Yeah.
And so
Here we
I don't
go.
know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I love that we had Fred Armisen as the radio guy out there with his booby traps.
That was fun.
That
That
was
was
really
fun.
great.
Yeah.
I also love the scene when Lucy doesn't know what's about to happen after she's, gone up to level 12 and she's supposed to be getting her punishment and the overseer's like raising the sword about to come down and then he's like, "You're banished to the surface." I thought that was great. And then of course we get our knight coming charging through causing destruction and she's like, "No, no, 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 no." That's
Her
fun.
knight in dirty armor. Yes.
Yeah. He abandoned also the look he gives his popcorn when in his robe. When he sees her being, like, shuffled along with the thing over her head, and he's like, "Am I gonna give this up? Yeah, guess I'll give this up." It's really great.
That's true love.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you think
Oh,
about the ghoul getting information?
when he was with the father and the sons thing? Or which part? I thought it
Yeah,
was
when he
interesting that
was
we learned
interrogating the son and the father.
a little bit more about the scientists because the ghoul in that scene is, like, the Enclave defector, and I was like, "Hmm, interesting."
Mm,
That's what he was, an Enclave defector. Oh, that scene was terrifying, the way they
suspicious.
played it too, where he was, like, eating the meat and, like, making the father think, like, "Oh, could this be my daughter? I hope not." And then he, like, calls him out on it, like, "Did you really think that it was, her?" And that was played really well.
Yeah. I was
He's
surprised that he killed the
terrifying.
kid. I was like, dang, he smoked that
Yeah.
kid. I mean, yeah, it's we definitely like with the ghoul. I love when we get to see the juxtaposition between him as the ghoul and him as Cooper because You know, Cooper is a good man for the most part, even though he's like the poster person for Vault Tech. But the ghoul is sort of like someone who, no matter who's in his way, he's going to blow away anybody who's in his way to accomplish his goals. And he's just like a cold-blooded murderer. And it's like, what happened to this person? But I mean, 200 years and like being blown up by an atomic bomb, I guess, will do that to you. But
Yeah. But it is curious, like, I love he plays that character so great because he's terrifying, and, and even though he's, like, should be just completely violent, he's still unpredictable in a way that, like, he might let you go, but and he says that thing, like, he's already contemplated it about the son, like, you know, "You're gonna be like your even if I let you go, you're gonna hunt me down, and I'm just gonna have to shoot you later," so, like and then he proves him right, though. He's like he grabs the so he's not wrong, sadly, and I wonder if, like,
I
you know,
mean,
the son,
it's the
like,
cycle
actually
of
backed off.
violence.
I guess so. But the daughter's alive, and the father's
You think he
alive.
would have
He
let
didn't kill
them
the whole
go?
family. He didn't kill the whole family.
That's true.
I mean, who knows? The daughter might come back now, having been indoctrinated into the cycle of violence, seeing her brother's killed, but I don't know. The fact that he didn't kill everybody, I think says something about him. I think if he thought that the
Yeah,
guy would let him go, he might have let him go.
that's true. We haven't seen him kill anyone that has not already pulled a weapon on him.
Yeah. So it's
So
interesting. I like it.
maybe he has a code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ghoul too. He's every
Yeah.
time he's on screen, I'm like, somebody's about to die.
Maybe
But
he is
we
trying to
only
do
have
unto
one episode
others.
left.
He's
Yeah,
trying to do unto
the golden
others. The
rule.
guy,
Yeah.
he's waited until he gets drawn upon, and then he's like, well.
Time to get you.
Yeah. Uh, we have one episode left, so hopefully we'll see what happens. Lucy's off on her own now. I loved, you know, Maximus being like, I'm gonna go distract the Brotherhood and taking the fake head. Letting Thaddeus go off, because Thaddeus is also having the realization that he can't go back to the Brotherhood now that he's a ghoul. So I'm excited
Mhm.
for that Lucy Maldiver face-off and to learn what's in Vault 31 with Norm.
Ooh, we'll see.
We'll see. Thanks so much for joining us, y'all. We're at Take This TV on TikTok and Instagram. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review, write us a comment, let us know your thoughts. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.